Forget the version of Leonardo that sits peacefully in your memory. The old man with a long beard, holding a paintbrush, staring into the distance. That version is convenient, it's simple, it's safe, and it hides the reality of who he truly was. Because Leonardo da Vinci didn't just create beautiful things, he created impossible things centuries before the world was ready. He imagined machines that society would not understand for 400, 500, even 600 years. He sketched ideas that at the time sounded closer to magic than to science. And yet today, many of those ideas are part of your everyday life, not metaphorically, not as inspiration. I mean, in real, tangible form, objects you touch, technologies you rely on, concepts that built the modern world, and most people have no idea that they began in the mind of a man born in 1452. Tonight, we're not here to memorize dates, repeat facts, or pretend this is a history class. This is not a lecture. This is a journey into the mind of a person who did not belong to his own time. What you're about to hear may change the way you look at the phone in your hand, the city you live in, even your own ideas. Because once you step into Leonardo's world, you won't see the modern world the same way again. So, let's begin. Close your eyes for a moment and travel back with me. The year is 1452. No electricity, no engines, no planes, no screens, no medicine that actually works. The average person lives a life that fits neatly inside a small box. Born, work, obey, die. Innovation is suspicious, curiosity is dangerous, and the idea of changing the world? That's not ambition, it's insanity. Now picture this world. Narrow stone streets where voices echo between rough walls, candles flickering in dusty workshops, ink-stained hands copying pages by hand. Because books are rare, precious, almost sacred. Knowledge belongs to a tiny elite guarded like treasure. And stepping outside of accepted ideas is like stepping into darkness. In this world, a child is born in a small Tuscan town called Vinci. A child who doesn't just observe the world, he questions it. He refuses to accept the limits everyone else believes in. While others see a bird flying, admire it, and walk away, he watches the wings, studies the motion, wonders about the angle of the feathers, the air, the speed, and asks the forbidden question, what if humans could do this too? That child was Leonardo, and from his earliest years, one thing became clear. He did not think like the people around him. His mind did not fit his century. He was, in every sense, an invader from the future. While Europe was drowning in superstition and tradition, Leonardo was building a laboratory inside his own head. He wanted to know, to understand, to break nature apart and put it back together, improved. Where others copied the past, Leonardo designed the future. Where society said, this is how things are, Leonardo responded, but what if they could be more? He didn't wait for permission. He didn't ask for approval. He explored, dissected, experimented, and imagined. He lived in the 1400s, but his mind lived in the 2400s. But before we talk about the inventions you use every single day, inventions that came from this man's imagination, there's something important we need to correct. Because the version of Leonardo da Vinci you were taught in school was not just incomplete, it was misleading. They showed you the artist, the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, the Renaissance genius printed on classroom posters. But do you know what Leonardo himself wrote in his own notebooks? Painting was not his life purpose. He didn't see himself as a painter first. To him, art was a tool, a method to study light, nature, movement, anatomy, perspective, physics. Painting was the doorway. Invention was the destination. His real obsession was understanding how the universe works so he could redesign it. Leonardo was an engineer, an anatomist, a scientist, an architect, a mathematician, a designer of machines, a futurist centuries before those words existed. He wasn't an artist who also invented things. He was an inventor who used art to think. And this matters, because once you shift your view of Leonardo from painter to inventor, the modern world suddenly looks different. You start to notice his fingerprints everywhere. In hospitals, in bicycles, in robots, in architecture, in airplanes, in war technology, in cities, even in the device you're using to watch this video. Over the next minutes, you will discover 7 of his ideas. Ideas drawn with feather and ink in silent rooms lit by candles that became part of everyday life. Ideas that people ignored, mocked, or feared at the time that now shape the world. This is not a story about the past. It's a story about a mind that belonged to the future, a mind that refused to wait for the world to catch up. Ready? Let's step inside. Take a breath and stay in that space you entered a moment ago. You've just stepped into a different century, a world lit by candlelight, where ideas travel slower than horses, and where imagination is a privilege, not a right. Hold on to that feeling for a second, because to understand the shock of what Leonardo was about to bring into this world, you need to feel the distance between his mind and his time. Imagine you're standing in that small Italian town, Vinci, the place where Leonardo grew up. The air smells of olive trees, ink, and dust. You hear the echo of church bells, the distant chatter of merchants, the rhythm of wooden wheels rolling on stone roads. Nothing around you suggests that the future is coming. No sign that the world is about to change. No hint that one single mind will rewrite what humans believe is possible. And yet, in that quiet world, a storm is forming inside the brain of a young boy who cannot accept the limits placed around him. Leonardo doesn't just see reality. He interrogates it. Why do birds fly? Why does water carve mountains? Why do bodies move the way they do? Why must things stay the way they've always been? He is not dreaming. He is studying the code of the universe like a hacker who found access to a system no one else knew existed. And as he grows, his curiosity becomes dangerous. Because in the 1400s, questioning the world isn't encouraged, it's feared. Challenging beliefs is seen as rebellion. New ideas can get you punished, silenced, or worse. But Leonardo isn't reckless. He is strategic. He hides his genius behind art. Brushstrokes on canvas become a shield, a disguise. People see a painter. Only a few notice the engineer hiding inside his sketches. Just imagine the weight of that. Having ideas centuries ahead of everyone, living in a world that can't build them, can't understand them, can't even imagine them. Leonardo's mind was not ahead of his time. It escaped time. And that's why what you're about to hear is so unbelievable. Because the inventions we take for granted today, inventions so normal you don't even think about them, were once drawings in his notebooks, dismissed as fantasies, impossibilities, or the ramblings of a mind too curious for its own good. Before we reveal the first invention, there's one more thing you must understand. The world Leonardo was born into was not ready for him. Take a breath and stay in that space you entered a moment ago. You've just stepped into a different century, a world lit by candlelight, where ideas travel slower than horses, and where imagination is a privilege, not a right. Hold on to that feeling for a second, because to understand the shock of what Leonardo was about to bring into this world, you need to feel the distance between his mind and his time. Imagine you're standing in that small Italian town, Vinci, the place where Leonardo grew up. The air smells of olive trees, ink, and dust. You hear the echo of church bells, the distant chatter of merchants, the rhythm of wooden wheels rolling on stone roads. Nothing around you suggests that the future is coming. No sign that the world is about to change. No hint that one single mind will rewrite what humans believe is possible. And yet, in that quiet world, a storm is forming inside the brain of a young boy who cannot accept the limits placed around him. Leonardo doesn't just see reality, he interrogates it. Why do birds fly? Why does water carve mountains? Why do bodies move the way they do? Why must things stay the way they've always been? He is not dreaming. He is studying the code of the universe, like a hacker who found access to a system no one else knew existed. And as he grows, his curiosity becomes dangerous, because in the 1400s, questioning the world isn't encouraged, it's feared. Challenging beliefs is seen as rebellion. New ideas can get you punished, silenced, or worse. But Leonardo isn't reckless. He is strategic. He hides his genius behind art. Brushstrokes on canvas become a shield, a disguise. People see a painter. Only a few notice the engineer hiding inside his sketches. Just imagine the weight of that. Having ideas centuries ahead of everyone, living in a world that can't build them, can't understand them, can't even imagine them. Leonardo's mind was not ahead of his time. It escaped time. And that's why what you're about to hear is so unbelievable. Because the inventions we take for granted today, inventions so normal you don't even think about them, were once drawings in his notebooks, dismissed as fantasies, impossibilities, or the ramblings of a mind too curious for its own good. Before we reveal the first invention, there's one more thing you must understand. The world Leonardo was born into was not ready for him. Picture a society where most people never travel beyond a few towns in their entire life, where knowledge is controlled by the church, locked away in Latin texts only a minority can read, where science is not truly science, it's superstition wearing a robe. People believed that flight was for birds and angels, not humans, that the human body was a mystery that should not be opened or studied, that war was fought with swords and horses, not strategy and machine, that cities should be built as they always had been, cramped, dirty, fragile, and then comes Leonardo with questions no one asked and answers no one was prepared to hear. He sketches wings for human flight. He studies muscles, bones, organs with more precision than doctors. He draws machines that could move, lift, protect, or destroy. He imagines cities designed for health, cleanliness, and intelligence. What do you think people thought of a man like that? Some called him brilliant. Some called him strange. Many called him dangerous. Because when someone sees further than others, the first reaction is rarely admiration. It's fear. Leonardo lived in a world where imagination was a threat. Where inventing too much wasn't celebrated, it was suspicious. So he wrote in secret. He coded his notes backwards, mirrored, so only he could read them. He hid ideas inside drawings of angels and gears, flowers and machines. His notebooks were not journals. They were time capsules, messages to the future, messages to us, and now, centuries later, we finally understand what those pages contain. So let's open the first capsule. Let's begin with an invention so common, so ordinary in your life today, that you may have never stopped to wonder where it truly came from. But once you hear this story, you will never look at it the same way again. Invention Has Shown begins now. Before we reveal the first invention, I want you to picture this. You're standing on top of a tall wooden tower in the late 1400s. There are no engines, no planes, no safety equipment, no concept of a safe fall. If you slip, that's it. People don't survive falls from heights. Gravity is final. It is a law of nature, unquestioned, undefeated. For humans in that century, the sky was a forbidden world. Birds belonged to the air. Humans belonged to the ground. That was the rule. But Leonardo looked at the sky with different eyes. He didn't dream of escaping gravity with wings that would come later. First, he imagined something even more outrageous. Surviving a fall from the sky. Long before the word parachute existed, Leonardo had already designed one. He called it a device that would allow a person to throw themselves from any great height without suffering injury. At a time when simply climbing too high was considered reckless, the idea of jumping from the sky on purpose felt insane. And yet, he drew it with precision. In his notebooks, Leonardo sketched a pyramid-shaped device, a wooden frame covered in linen cloth, wide enough to catch the air and slow a human fall. His words, translated from Italian, read, "If a man has a tent made of linen, of which each side is 12 braccia wide and 12 in height, he will be able to throw himself down from any great height without suffering injury. It was simple. It was brilliant. It was centuries too early. People of his time didn't understand the concept of air resistance, drag, or physics. There was no science to support what he proposed. To them, this wasn't an invention, it was madness on paper. Leonardo wasn't just drawing a parachute, he was challenging reality. Because in his era, the idea that a human could step off a great height and live was unthinkable. And here comes the quote, the one that captures the spirit of this moment. In a world where no one believed humans could survive the fall, Leonardo designed the landing. For centuries, Leonardo's parachute remained a sketch in a notebook. No one built it, no one tested it, no one dared. His idea was simply too advanced for the tools of his time. Fast forward to the year 2000, over 500 years after Leonardo made that drawing, a British skydiver named Adrian Nicholas decided to test Leonardo's design. Not a modern version, not a safer alternative. The original design, exactly as drawn. A wooden frame, linen cloth, no modern alterations. The result? It worked. Leonardo's parachute successfully slowed the fall exactly as he predicted. The only issue was weight. It was heavy to maneuver. So after proving Leonardo's version functioned, Nicholas switched to a lighter, modern fabric, and the parachute performed even better. 5 centuries late, but Leonardo was right. Today, the parachute is essential in countless fields: skydiving and human flight, military operations, emergency escape systems, space missions, aviation safety protocols. Every time a pilot ejects from a jet and lands safely, every time a skydiver touches the ground, they are using a concept born from Leonardo's mind. People often say Leonardo invented things ahead of his time. But here's the truth. He invented things ahead of our courage. His world didn't dare test his ideas. So the future had to do it for him. Imagine how frustrating that must have been to dream of breaking gravity, to design a way to survive the fall, and never see it happen. Leonardo didn't just imagine a parachute. He imagined a universe where humans were not prisoners of the ground. And if this was his first idea, you can only imagine what's coming next. Because the next invention didn't just challenge fear. It challenged the very idea of what a machine was. Ready to discover invention number 2? Imagine this. Your vision opens not as a human, but from behind a metal visor. A narrow slit reveals a grand hall, the court of Milan, filled with nobles dressed in velvet and gold. Music echoes through the room, candles flicker against marble walls, and all eyes are on you. Not because you're special, but because you shouldn't exist. You are a suit of armor, but you are about to move. The year is around 1495. Leonardo da Vinci is working for Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan. The court expects entertainment, music, theater, impressive displays of art and engineering. But on this night, Leonardo prepares something no one has ever seen. A knight made of metal, capable of movement, not a person inside a costume, not a puppet pulled by strings, but a machine built to mimic life. The hall falls silent as the knight steps forward. Armor plates shift, arms rise, the head turns left, then right. It bows as if greeting the Duke. Gasps fill the room. From behind the visor, your view tilts downward. Your arm lifts again. This isn't magic. It isn't illusion. It's engineering. Leonardo's creation could sit, stand, lift its visor, and move its arms, all powered by an internal system of pulleys, gears, and cables. A mechanical skeleton hidden beneath the armor. In the 1400s, this was unthinkable. No one had ever built a self-moving machine shaped like a human. No concept of robotics existed. No word for robot would appear until over 400 years later. Yet here it was, walking in a candlelit court in Milan. Pause for a moment and absorb this. Leonardo built a human-shaped machine before humans understood machines. People in that room didn't have the vocabulary to describe what they saw. To them, it was a marvel, a spectacle, a clever trick by a genius artist. They didn't realize what they were witnessing. They weren't watching entertainment. They were witnessing the birth of robotics, and most of the world would forget it ever happened. Leonardo kept his mechanical sketches private, coded in his notebooks. The idea was too advanced, too strange for the time. If misunderstood, it could be seen as unnatural, even dangerous. Centuries would pass before anyone found his diagrams, and when they did, the truth became impossible to ignore. Leonardo da Vinci had designed a working robot in the late 1400s. For centuries, Leonardo's robot knight slept in silence, trapped in coded pages no one could read. Not until the 20th century did researchers finally reconstruct his design, and what they discovered was astonishing. Inside, Leonardo's sketches were detailed mechanical drawings of a humanoid machine, cables acting like tendons, pulleys functioning like muscles, gears replacing joints, a chest cavity housing the system that controlled movement, almost like a mechanical heart. This wasn't a toy. This wasn't a prop. This was a functional automaton. Leonardo had cracked the concept of robotic motion long before electricity, motors, or AI would exist. Let's break down how his robot knight worked simply but powerfully. Pulleys and cables acted like nerves and muscles. Gears and cams converted rotational motion into movement. A crank system allowed independent limb control. Armor design concealed the machinery, giving it the illusion of life. In modern terms, Leonardo engineered a programmable exoskeleton, a mechanical actuator system, a pre-electronic robot. Think about this. Leonardo wasn't trying to imitate life. He was trying to mechanize it. He imagined a world where machines could perform tasks humans didn't want to do centuries before industrial automation. Here's the quote, the one built for impact. Before the world imagined robots, Leonardo imagined a world that needed them. And he wasn't wrong. Today, robotics is everywhere. Surgical robots saving lives, manufacturing robots, building cars and technology, humanoid robots assisting in research, AI-driven machines learning to walk, speak, and think. Every robot today, from factory arms to Boston Dynamics machines, carries a spark of Leonardo's idea. A body built to move with purpose. But here's the part that hits hardest. Leonardo didn't build the robot knight for fame, for applause, or for power. He built it out of pure curiosity to explore how far imagination could go when translated into mechanics. And that mindset changed the world. Because inventions don't reshape reality the moment they're drawn. Sometimes, the world needs centuries to catch up. The robot knight is a reminder of something powerful. Great ideas are often misunderstood, until the future arrives to prove them right. Leonardo planted seeds for a world he would never see. And if the first robot wasn't enough to convince you that Leonardo lived mentally in the future, the next invention will. Because invention #3 isn't about flying, and it isn't about machines replacing humans. It's something invisible, something so common today that you use it constantly without ever thinking about it. An invention so universal that without it, modern life would collapse. Ready? Let's move to invention #3. Take a moment and look around you wherever you are right now. Your chair, the wheels on your car, the engine of a plane, the hard drive in your computer, the fidget spinner in a kid's hand, the joints of a robot, the bearings inside a skateboard. Almost everything that moves smoothly in the modern world relies on one invisible invention. The ball bearing. And like so many modern ideas, Leonardo had already drawn it. But before we reveal how, let's set the stage. Imagine a world before machine, before engines, before spinning parts and metal industries. When anything that needed to turn a wheel, a gear, a winch, dragged, scraped, and resisted. Friction was a monster no one knew how to tame. Everything creaked. Everything wore down. Everything broke quickly. If you wanted to rotate something, you had to use force a lot of it. People accepted friction as an unchangeable law of nature. But Leonardo asked a question nobody else thought to ask. What if movement could be effortless? He studied motion like an artist studies light with obsession. He watched wheels, hinges, pulleys, joints, even how the human shoulder moved in its socket. And then he came up with an idea that would change the physics of movement forever. In one of his notebooks, he sketched a circular track with small balls placed between two surfaces, separating them so one could spin smoothly around the other. A simple idea, revolutionary potential. The ball bearing, this design allowed objects to rotate with almost no friction, transforming how machines could move. Think about this. Leonardo didn't just imagine a new object, he imagined a new principle of motion. Hundreds of years before the Industrial Revolution, centuries before the first automobile, Leonardo had drawn the core mechanism that would one day make them all possible. Pause here. Let this sink in. The invention that allows planes to fly, cars to drive, machines to build, was sketched by a man who lived in a world powered by horses. Most people don't know this. When ball bearings show up in history books, credit is often given to 18th or 19th century engineers. But Leonardo drew the blueprint in the 1400s. He simply lived at a time where metal production was too primitive to build his idea with precision. The tools weren't ready, but the mind was. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Leonardo didn't just anticipate technology. He anticipated the problems of the future and solved them before they existed. Imagine inventing tires before cars, or headphones before electricity, or Wi-Fi before computers. That's what Leonardo did. In fact, let's look at where ball bearings show up today. Skateboards and rollerblades, smooth spinning wheels, cars, trains, airplanes, every rotating part, robotics, joints, and movement mechanisms, medical devices, precision instruments, hard drives and fans, cooling and rotation, bicycles, pedals, hubs, headset, space engineering, satellite parts, and mechanical arms. The modern world runs on ball bearings. Without them, engines would overheat, machines would jam, movement would collapse, our world would slow down almost to a stop. And the most mind-blowing part? Leonardo didn't treat this as a big invention. To him, it was just one page in a sea of ideas. He wasn't chasing glory, he was chasing understanding. He observed nature, he studied anatomy. He watched how joints rotated with minimal friction thanks to synovial fluid, and replicated the principle with metal and motion. Leonardo learned from the human body and upgraded it into technology. The pattern is becoming clear. Invention has shown humans don't have to die from falling. Invention -2 machines can move like humans. Invention -3 motion can be effortless and infinite. Do you see the progression? Leonardo is not inventing random object. He is designing the future of human movement. First, survive the fall. Then, give motion to machines. Then, remove friction so movement becomes limitless. And if you think these 3 inventions are impressive, the next one may hit even harder. Because invention -4 isn't about the sky, and it isn't about machines, it's about you, about the human body and the secrets Leonardo uncovered that the world feared to know. Ready to go deeper? Before we open the next page of Leonardo's mind, take a moment to notice something. So far, his inventions have dealt with the external world, the sky, machines, movement, but Leonardo was not satisfied with improving the world around us. He wanted to understand and redesign us. Imagine a locked room. The scent of oils, herbs, and metal instruments fills the air. Candlelight flickers against parchment pinned to stone walls, not of landscapes or angels, but of muscles, nerves, bones, hearts, a forbidden workshop, a place where science and taboo collided. Because in the 1400s, the human body was a sacred mystery. Dissection was restricted, frowned upon, feared. Many believed the body should never be opened, that it was an offense against nature and God. But Leonardo was not interested in superstition. He was interested in truth. He wanted to know how we worked, not poetically, mechanically. Where others saw a soul inside flesh, Leonardo saw a machine built with divine engineering. He studied the body like a sculptor, like a scientist, like an inventor, all at once. Night after night, in secret, Leonardo dissected human corpses to document the true architecture of the human body. What he discovered was so advanced that it took 400 years for science to catch up. His anatomical drawings are not sketches, they are blueprints. Muscles drawn like engineered cables. bones measured like architectural beams. Organs mapped like components of a complex system. He recorded over 240 detailed drawings and 13,000 words of notes on anatomy notes, so accurate that medical experts today still call them astonishingly modern. Pause on that. A man with no access to modern tools, no medical lab, no MRI, no X-ray produced diagrams that could be printed in a medical textbook right now. He drew the heart's chambers with such precision that doctors in the 21st century have used his work to explain cardiac function. He was the first to correctly describe how the spine curves. The first to map the human fetus inside the womb accurately. The first to document the mechanics of how we smile, frown, walk, breathe, swallow, speak. He wasn't studying for art. He wasn't studying for medicine. He was studying because he believed something revolutionary. The human body is the most advanced machine ever created, and understanding it is the key to inventing better ones. Leonardo's anatomy studies didn't make headlines in his time. They were too dangerous, too detailed, too unnatural. So he hid them. His notebooks remained locked away for centuries, their impact delayed by history's fear. But today, Leonardo's anatomical work is used in modern medical illustration, surgical training, prosthetic design, robotics and bionics, CGI and human motion animation, sports science and biomechanics. Even Hollywood animators study Leonardo's anatomy to create realistic movement in films, because Leonardo didn't just draw what the body looked like. He drew how the body works. He saw the human body as a system of levers, pulleys, rotations, pressure, and balance, the same mechanics he used in his machine. Here's the moment where everything clicks. Invention has own, survive a fall. Invention #2, give motion to machines. Invention #3, remove friction. Invention #4, understand the human machine. Leonardo wasn't curious at random. He was building a unified philosophy of motion and life. He studied birds to imagine flight, studied machines to imagine robotics, studied bodies to merge biology and engineering. He was designing the blueprint for where humanity would eventually go. A world where human and machine meet. And we're living in that world now. Bionic limbs controlled by the brain, heart valves modeled after his drawings, robots that walk like us because he decoded how joints move, medical animation built on his anatomical mapping. Leonardo didn't just reveal the body, he revealed the future of the body. As we leave this chapter, remember this: he worked alone, no lab, no assistants, no technology, just curiosity, ink, and courage. And yet, he opened the human body not to harm it, but to understand how to make life better. If this was Leonardo's fourth vision of the future, what comes next proves he didn't just imagine machines and humans. He imagined the future of cities, the world we live in, long before it existed. Ready? Let's move to invention number 5. Before we reveal Leonardo's next invention, notice the pattern so far. He understood how to survive the fall, how to give motion to machines, how to eliminate friction, how to decode the human body. The next leap was inevitable. If you understand humans and you understand machines, the next step is to redesign the world humans live in. Picture a medieval city in the late 1400s. Narrow streets, dark, crowded, chaotic, sewage running openly, disease spreading fast, no structure, no planning, just survival. Cities weren't designed for health or intelligence. They were built by accident, not intention. People accepted this as normal, but Leonardo didn't. He looked at a city the same way he looked at a machine or a body, as a system that could be improved if you understood how it truly worked. While others saw streets and buildings, Leonardo saw a blueprint waiting to be redesigned. He imagined a city with logic, with purpose, where human life could thrive, not deteriorate. A city of the future, centuries before the concept of urban planning existed. Leonardo designed a multi-level city, a radical vision that still shocks architects today. Here's what his ideal city included: 2 separate street levels, upper level for pedestrians and light, lower level for carts, transport, waste, and logistics. A design still used today in advanced cities like Tokyo, Montreal, Singapore. Sophisticated sewage and water systems, water flowing efficiently to prevent disease, clean water separated from waste. He predicted modern sanitation before plumbing existed. Wide, ventilated streets for light, clean air, and space, preventing the spread of illness. Modular architecture, buildings planned with math and symmetry, not chaos. Green spaces integrated into the design. Nature as part of the city, not outside of it. Now pause and realize how insane this was at the time. People in the 1400s didn't think cities could be designed. Cities just happened, but Leonardo wasn't looking at what cities were. He was looking at what cities should be. His ideal city wasn't a dream. It was a manual for the future. One of the most fascinating parts? Leonardo designed his futuristic city after a devastating plague that killed a large portion of the population. While others rebuilt the same mistakes, Leonardo asked, what if a city could protect its people? He wasn't only solving problems of his time, he was solving our problem. Because today, modern cities with zoning, sanitation, transportation systems, green spaces, and infrastructure follow principles Leonardo sketched 500 years ago. To put it simply, Leonardo invented urban planning before the world had urban planners. His city design influenced modern concepts such as multi-level underground transit cell, sewage and drainage systems, city grid logic and zoning, smart city planning, architecture based on human well-being. If humanity had listened to Leonardo in the 1500s, cities might have avoided centuries of disease, pollution, and overcrowding. But again, the world wasn't ready. His plans remained on paper. No ruler was bold enough to build them. No society imagined changing everything for something they couldn't understand. Leonardo could see a world that didn't exist yet, a world that we finally began building only in the last century. And here's the thought that hits. We're still catching up. We live in the echoes of Leonardo's imagination. The future of mobility, the future of machines, the future of the body, the future of cities. He saw all of them before there were words for any of it. But if you think cities were the limit of his vision, wait for what comes next. Because invention #6 goes back to where it all began. To the one idea humans feared the most for centuries: flight. Not falling safely, not gliding, but the impossible dream. What if humans could truly fly? Take a breath, because what we're about to enter isn't just an invention. It's the purest form of a dream humanity carried for thousands of years. Since the dawn of time, humans looked at birds and felt the same burning desire. What would it feel like to fly? Kings wanted it, philosophers wrote about it, myths and legends imagined gods rising into the sky. But for real people, flight was forbidden. A fantasy, a danger, a sin. To challenge the sky was to challenge the divine. But Leonardo didn't see flight as myth. He saw it as a mechanical problem waiting to be solved. And so he studied the masters of the skybirds, not like a poet admiring beauty, but like an engineer decoding a blueprint. He observed how wings curved, how feathers trapped air, how birds adjusted speed, altitude, direction. He made hundreds of sketches analyzing wings, muscles, and flight pattern. While others saw feathers, Leonardo saw engineering diagrams disguised as nature. And his question was, if nature designed the perfect flying machine, why can't we reproduce it? The result? One of the most iconic inventions in human imagination. The ornithopter, a flying machine with wooden wings designed to flap like a bird's. Picture this, a long wooden frame where a human would lie face down, arms and legs connected to a system of pulleys and gears that controlled 2 large wings. When the pilot moved, the wings would flap. The idea was simple. If birds fly by flapping, humans must flap too. It wasn't just artistic fantasy, it was scientific observation turned into mechanical design. But the world of the 1400s was not ready for human flight. Leonardo had no engines, no lightweight metal, no aerodynamics textbooks. He was building wings with wood, fabric, and human muscle power. Physics wasn't on his side. Could it have flown? Probably not as he designed it, not with human strength alone. But here's what matters. Leonardo made the first scientific attempt to translate the dream of flying into engineering, and his work directly inspired the future. Let's connect the dots. Leonardo analyzed bird flight. He translated natural movement into mechanical motion. Future inventors learned from his failures. Gliders, planes, and modern aviation emerged. He didn't achieve flight, but he cracked open the door that led to it. And here's the part most people don't know. Leonardo's studies of air pressure, lift, drag, and wing curvature were so accurate that aviation pioneers Wright brothers used similar principles. Over 400 years later, Leonardo didn't give us the airplane, he gave us the science of flight. Today, his influence is everywhere in the sky. The shape of airplane wings, paragliders, and hang gliders, wingsuits, drones and biomimicry flying tech, rotors, propellers, airfoil curves. Even NASA engineers have studied Leonardo's sketches for inspiration, because flight wasn't just a machine to Leonardo, it was a metaphor for the human spirit, to rise above limits, to refuse the ground, to see the world from a higher point of view. Here's the quote for this chapter, and it's one to remember. Leonardo didn't give humans wings, he gave them permission to try. He planted the thought that humans could share the sky with birds, not as myth, but as possibility. And today, every flight, every takeoff, every moment you look down from a plane window is a reminder that one man in the 1400s believed we belonged there. Now look at the journey so far. Survive the fall, animate machines, remove friction, understand the human machine, redesign cities, reach for the sky. Each invention isn't random. Leonardo is building a ladder into the future. But there's one last invention we need to uncover. His most ambitious, most controversial, and most misunderstood of all. One that merges war, engineering, fear, and genius. The invention that shows Leonardo didn't just imagine a better world, he imagined a more dangerous one too. Invention #7 is next. Take a breath, because this last invention isn't uplifting like flight. And it isn't elegant like anatomy or the ideal city. This one shows the shadow side of genius. Imagine a battlefield in the 1400s. Men on horseback, steel clashing, arrows cutting the air. War was brutal, face to face, survival by strength and chance. Victory belonged to whoever had the most soldiers, not the smartest ideas. But Leonardo saw war differently. As an engineer for powerful rulers, he witnessed violence up close, and he hated it, yet he knew something undeniable. If he didn't invent for war, someone else would. And that someone would be less ethical, less careful, less human. So Leonardo asked a terrifying question. What if we could protect soldiers and end battles faster? The result was one of the most shocking inventions of his career. The armored vehicle, the ancestor of the modern tank. Picture a giant turtle-shaped machine covered in angled metal plates with cannons arranged around its circular frame so it could fire in all directions while soldiers inside stayed safe. A moving fortress? Leonardo designed gears inside that would allow men to turn cranks and move the machine across the battlefield. From above, it looked like a UFO of the 1400s, a deadly, rolling shield. No one had ever imagined anything like it. A weapon of power combined with protection. Not a tool of destruction only, but a tool that could end a battle simply by existing. Now pause here. Leonardo didn't create this out of ambition or cruelty. His letters reveal he proposed war machines to gain employment and influence. but often included flaws intentionally, so the most lethal ideas couldn't be abused. And here's something few people know. Leonardo sabotaged his own tank on purpose. He intentionally reversed the gears in his design. If built exactly as drawn, the wheels would spin in opposite directions, making the tank unable to move. Think about the morality behind that. He gives the idea, but hides the ability to truly use it. Inventors today talk about ethical tech. Leonardo practiced it 500 years ago, but the concept was so powerful that centuries later, engineers revisited his design. When the gear reversal was corrected, it worked. Tests with a reconstructed model proved that Leonardo's armored vehicle could have moved and could have changed warfare forever. Now look at the modern world. Tanks in World War I, armored vehicles in every military today, riot control shields and vehicles, protective mobile units, police and rescue armored transports. All follow the same foundational concept Leonardo sketched centuries ago. Protect the inside, control the outside. The saddest part? Leonardo once wrote that war is a most bestial madness. He despised it. He wished humans would evolve beyond violence. But he also knew a truth that still applies. If invention exists, it can be used for good or for harm. Genius doesn't choose the heart of the one who holds it. Leonardo lived with that burden. He imagined a world where invention would uplift humanity, but he also saw how it could destroy. He wasn't naive. He saw both futures, and that's why this seventh invention matters, because Leonardo didn't just design the tools of progress. He predicted the moral consequences of innovation. He understood that the future wouldn't only be about flying, but also about choosing what kind of humanity would rise. 7 inventions, 7 seeds planted centuries ahead of time: flight, robotics, urban planning, biomechanics, mechanics of motion, safety, war technology. Leonardo wasn't living in the Renaissance. He was living in the future of the human story. And now that the 7 inventions are revealed, it's time to step out of the inventions and into the heart of the man behind them. Because the next part of this journey is not about what Leonardo created, but what it cost him. We've explored Leonardo's ideas, the inventions that shaped the future, but ideas don't appear from nowhere. They come from a person with fears, doubts, flaws, pain, and dreams. So now, step away from the machines, the sketches, the genius, and walk closer. Look at the man behind them. Imagine being Leonardo, a mind that runs faster than your time, a brain full of visions no one around you can understand. You see what others can't. You imagine what others fear. You speak a language the future will understand, but the present finds strange. Brilliance sounds exciting until you realize how lonely it is. Because when you live centuries ahead in your head, you live alone. Leonardo wasn't celebrated in his lifetime the way we celebrate him now. He wasn't showered with glory or universal admiration. In fact, he often struggled to finish projects, battled self-doubt, and faced criticism. He knew he was different, painfully different. He once wrote in his notes, "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." Pause there. Think about the weight of that sentence. The man who gave us the foundations of flight, robotics, anatomy, engineering, art, felt he wasn't good enough. Leonardo lived with perfectionism so heavy that it crushed his joy. He abandoned more work than he completed, not because he was lazy, but because his standards were beyond human. Every idea he finished, he imagined a better version of. Every painting he touched, he saw flaws no one else could ever notice. Genius is a blessing people admire from afar, but from the inside, it can feel like a curse. Leonardo's mind never rested. It pulled him in every direction: art, science, engineering, nature, music, anatomy, architecture, philosophy. But in the Renaissance, the world didn't value curiosity in all directions. Society wanted specialists, not universes. Leonardo wasn't a specialist. He was a galaxy, and galaxies don't fit into boxes. This made him misunderstood, judged, and underestimated. He didn't come from wealth. He didn't receive a classical education. He couldn't read Latin well, the language of scholars. Other intellectuals looked down on him, calling him unlettered, inferior, because his knowledge came from observation, not books. And yet, he saw truths scholars couldn't see. Leonardo believed that experience was the highest form of learning. Not status, not degrees, not approval. But the price of thinking differently is that you rarely feel understood. He worked for powerful patrons, dukes, lords, kings, but he was always a tool for them, never fully appreciated for who he was. When projects changed, funding vanished, or politics shifted, Leonardo was discarded, replaced, relocated. He moved from city to city, Florence, Milan, Venice, Rome, Amboise, searching not for glory, but for a place where his mind could breathe, a home for a brain that didn't belong anywhere. And maybe this is the part of Leonardo closest to us today. The world celebrates results, not the struggle behind them. We judge success by what is visible, not by what it costs to create. Leonardo paid in solitude, sacrifice, and sleepless nights for ideas that others now admire casually. He lived in a time that wasn't ready for him, and he knew it. But here's what makes his story human, not just legendary. Leonardo never stopped. Not when people mocked his ideas, not when inventions stayed trapped on paper, not when patrons abandoned projects, not when doubt destroyed his confidence. He kept imagining, he kept learning, he kept dreaming forward, because deep inside, he believed something powerful. If the present cannot understand you, create for the future, Leonardo didn't live for the applause of his time. He lived for the possibility of a better world, even if he would never see it. And that is why his story hits us today. Because in a world that tells you to be realistic, Leonardo reminds us that realism builds the present, but imagination builds the future. He was proof that you can be misunderstood now and unforgettable later. And that brings us to the final part of our story. We've seen the inventions. We've seen the man. Now, in the last chapter, we asked the question that ties everything together. What can we learn from Leonardo today, and how do we carry his legacy forward? We've walked through Leonardo's mind, through ideas that felt impossible, unbelievable, almost unreal for the world he lived in. Now, step back for a moment and look at the journey we just took. 7 inventions, 5 centuries ahead of time, one mind refusing to accept the limits of its era. Leonardo didn't just predict the future, he built the doorway to it. But now the story shifts because this isn't just about him anymore, it's about us. Look around at the world we live in today. We fly across continents in hours. We build robots that walk, learn, and heal. We design cities with logic and innovation. We merge biology with technology. We explore the sky, the sea, and soon distant planets. We are living inside Leonardo's imagination. He never saw the world he dreamed of, but we do. And that raises a powerful question. What will the future say about us? We celebrate Leonardo now, posthumously, because time finally caught up with him. But he didn't have the luxury of applause or validation. He worked in uncertainty, in doubt, in silence. He planted seeds for a future he would never live to witness. That's legacy. Not recognition, not fame, but impact that outlives your lifetime. Pause and let that sink in. Because today, your ideas, your dreams, your visions may feel too early, too unrealistic, too different, just like Leonardo's did. People might not understand you. They may doubt you. They may laugh. They may tell you to be realistic, to think smaller, to fit in. But imagine if Leonardo had listened. Imagine if he had limited himself to the expectations of his time. No art that redefined beauty. No studies that redefined medicine. No ideas that redefined the future. The world would be smaller, darker, slower. Here's the truth most people forget. Every future begins as someone's impossible idea. Flying was impossible until it wasn't. Robots were fantasy until they weren't. Clean cities were unrealistic until they existed. Understanding the human body was forbidden until it saved millions of lives. The future always belongs to the ones who dare to imagine it first. Leonardo wasn't special because he was gifted. He was special because he kept imagining, even when no one understood him. That is what we must carry forward. Not his inventions, his courage to stay curious. Not his genius, his willingness to think differently. Not his perfection, his persistence. The world does not need more people who copy. It needs people who question, who dream, who create, even without approval. Leonardo's life teaches us something timeless. You don't need to be understood now to be remembered forever. So ask yourself, what idea in your mind feels too big? What dream are you hiding because others won't get it? What creation are you postponing because you fear judgment? Leonardo's answer would be simple: create it anyway, because your idea may be waiting for a future that needs it. A future you may never meet, but could shape. As we close this journey, take one thought with you, the thought Leonardo lived by. Once you have tasted flight, you will walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward. Flight is not only about the sky, it's about rising above the limits the world hands you. So don't just admire Leonardo, be inspired by him. Think wider, question deeper. Imagine further, because somewhere, 500 years from now, someone may be living inside the world you dared to imagine. This is not the end of Leonardo's story. It's the beginning of yours.